And so I want to get started. I know the teachers are timely people, and I want to use your time wisely this morning, particularly since most of you are just starting summer vacation. As I mentioned before, congratulations on completing probably the hardest year of your careers. You survived. Give yourself all a big hand. Hopefully we're on to a brighter future with a return to normal, maybe next fall, we hope. But at the same time, we all learned a lot, and we have a whole lot of new tricks and tools to work with, and we're going to talk about some of those today. This session is the elementary introduction to Maryland Council on Economic Education's programs and resources. My name is Julie Weaver, and I'm the executive director here at the Maryland Council on Economic Education. So I'm so pleased that you all are taking time out of your day to spend with us. We have some phenomenal teachers as speakers this morning. We have Carol Shaper, who's here from Sykesville Middle in Carroll County, and she's going to share her experience using our poster contest with her students in middle school. It's also a program for elementary as well. So Carol has had phenomenal success with her kids, and we love seeing her posters every year. So she's going to share information about that. Flo Falaco is here with us as well, and she is from Cromwell Valley Elementary School in Baltimore County, and she is going to talk about Invest Right, which is a companion program to the stock market game. It's a writing program. Flo has actually had national winners in Invest Right, so she's going to share how she uses that in her classroom and how she's been so successful with it. And then we have Kevin Finnegan, who's from Triadelphia Ridge Elementary in Howard County. Kevin is a stock market game guru teacher. He has been extremely successful incorporating it into his gifted and talented program there at his school. And his students regularly win the competition in the elementary space. So he's going to share how he uses the stock market game with his students in incorporating math and other topics, and maybe share how his students are so successful in the program every fall. So without further ado, I'd like to hand it off to Carol.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me. Let me see if I can present my screen, because believe it or not, through technology, I have not used Zoom. We've used Google. So hopefully I can share this screen correctly. I have. Y'all see it?
Yes, terrific.
Okay. Hi, I'm Carol Shaper. I'm from Sykesville Middle School in Carroll County. I am a FACS teacher, which is called a Family and Consumer Science teacher, or as you know, probably when we were younger, the home ec teacher kind of deal. But our curriculum has done lots of changes to incorporate financial literacy and other topics into there besides just, you know, the Betty homemaker kind of thing. So we've moved into a different world with financial literacy, especially. So good morning, everybody. I'm here to figure out a way that we can let our students express themselves and what they've learned through, art. Okay. And I've been with MCEE for 6 years with my poster contest. And I've had lots of winners. And I think it's a lot because of just simply as a related arts teacher, obviously we always support each other through art, phys ed, motion, movement. And so I find that to be quite successful getting the related arts teachers the acknowledgement that we deserve. So I'm here to talk to you about the poster contest. And the poster contest, the basic rules are given to us by MCEE. And this is how I present it to my students. And so everyone has to complete it because it's going to be a grade. That's the basic first thing they always ask. Okay, am I going to be graded on this? Well, I do give them a grade. Okay, it's a completion grade. We talk through advertising as part of my curriculum, and this is a great way that they are advertising one of the 12 concepts that MCEE has given us as part of this contest. Of course, we always give the motivation that, hey, if you're one of the winners, you do win some, money as well. And so that is, of course, motivation to any teenager who wants to, win a contest. So then we talk about obviously the other requirements and why through advertising you don't want to have it on, lined paper because it's harder for, the poster to be seen. And we talk about the border of why advertising can be enlarged to fit into a space and reduced and background space. So we bring into a lot of concepts about advertising into this, and we look at print advertising and how it influences them in part of this whole world of social media now. And of course, where they see advertisements. So even though the poster contest was originally designed for a calendar, that it could also be used in other medias as well. And so then the other outlines are about the lettering has to have black outline so it pops off the page and doesn't just become part of the art. I make it a rule that they are not allowed to use computer clip art or lettering because again, part of our art curriculum is that they learn dimension and shapes. And although MCEE allows lettering, so don't let that, sway you one way or another. I like original work from the students. Obviously, we talk about the quality of print advertising and it being out there into the world and what it says about them and us as a school and a community. And then, of course, we talk about the themes, and then we talk about each one of the themes and what does it relate to themselves and their future and why they need to know these concepts. And then we talk about how, color pencils are best because markers can bleed. And then, of course, we talk about how they turn it in because part of the assignment for turning the posters in is that they can't have their names written on the front. And so we talk about that as well. So these are some basic guidelines that were set by MCEE, but also I added a couple of my own just to make it, of course, for me as well. So here are the 12 themes that are part of the poster contest, okay? I will be very honest with you, a lot of my kids automatically go to producers and consumers, and they obviously through their social studies know what that means. So we talk about that. In my particular class, we talk a lot about opportunity cost and the choices and talks about taxes. So I do get a lot of certain themes based upon my curriculum and how that fits into the FACS curriculum. So, so those are the 12 themes that you can choose from. And, you could pick one or you could pick all 12. All 12 of them happen to be in my curriculum. So that's why it fits so well. So as I said, I've been involved with this for quite a few years. And so here was my first winner, which I was super excited about because I never really thought, any of my kids would win. So this was, again, sources of income in my first year. And then it goes on. I had a couple of winners. I'm just showing you my winners, goods and services. So this particular year, I had 3 winners. So that was super exciting. I didn't realize you could have multiple winners. So I had 3 winners. And then this particular year, in 2018-19, I even got some press, I guess, because the Carroll County kept putting it on their website that here, Siceville had these winners. So in this particular year, we even had some articles into the Carroll County Times, our local newspaper, about our winner and our contest. So it is possible to get it out there and be aware. And then I had a student and I thought, okay, this is my year to retire. I had someone on the cover. I thought I couldn't get any better. I had somebody on the cover. And so that was her work. And I had actually another winner there that year too. And this particular year, I had 4 winners. So I was super excited, even through this whole pandemic, that my students still could produce large quantities of work that was acceptable. And so these were my winners. I'm sorry they're a little grainy. I had to copy them actually from the website.
No worries.
So I had 4 winners this year. And this is when he turned it in. And this is actually one of my virtual students, Andrew. And when he turned it in, I was like, he's going to win. And I knew it. I knew that was going to be one of the winners. And he was super excited. through that process. So even though during this pandemic, I still followed the same, requirements and showed them the stages. So it was an easy lesson to continue and incorporate it even in my normal classroom versus during this pandemic time. And so it definitely was super exciting to continue to have the poster contest. I encourage it. I made it a very easy assignment as part of my curriculum. You could include social studies in there with, a lot of those lessons, and the same thing with math. And this is the website. If you haven't been, you need to join. It's free to join, and all the rules and regulations about the poster contest is on the website itself.
Awesome. Thank you, Carol. And just to mention, and this applies to all of our student programs, but every year we host an annual awards program where we recognize the student achievement. And we just did that at the beginning of the month. And the video for that awards program with a slideshow of all the winning posters from this year is available. So as you're unwinding throughout the summer, if you'd like to watch the awards video and get a glimpse of other teachers and the students who participate in a lot of the programs, it's available on our website. So feel free to take a look at that. If you have questions, if you wouldn't mind posting them in the chat, I can then help moderate that for our presenters. So it looks like we're going forward, and Flo Falaco, if you wouldn't mind jumping in and telling us about what InvestRight is and how you've been so successful incorporating it into your class with your students.
Okay, great. I do not have a PowerPoint, so I am sorry for that, but I can definitely hit on the highlights of the InvestRight program. InvestRight has a competition in the fall and in the spring. Pardon me. SIFMA posts the writing prompt for the students. It's a wonderful opportunity, I feel, especially in 5th grade, to teach expository writing, which is what they need going forward to middle school and high school. So it gives that opportunity to teach the writing process for expository writing and research. The other thing is, if your students to participate in InvestRight must be in the stock market game. They've already experienced short focused research with their stock market choices. So they've learned a little bit about that initial short focused research, which is the step to a larger research process. SIFMA has been very creative with their writing prompts, from everything to my national first place winner was, how would you manage a portfolio? It was a very open kind of thing. And he wrote about it being like a plate of food, that you didn't want to have all beans and you didn't want to have all French fries. You wanted to have diversification. And he completely based everything on his plate of food. To what is your passion? And our 4th place winner last year, her passion was to have a coffee shop for writers. She loves writing. And it would be for writers where there would be editors there that worked at the coffee shop to help them. And they could meet as writers and obviously get their drinks, their coffee. So kind of a Starbucks writing theme place. Other interesting writing prompts have been, what companies do you respect? So they learn about the culture of companies, and they, along with all of these, your passion, what companies do you respect kind of thing, they also have to give investment advice. So they are going back, they don't have to use their portfolios, they can use other advice for them that they feel they should invest in this or that for the different reasons. So it's always bringing in the investment. So I've done it many different ways. My year that I've taught all different ways, as we all have, as being long-term career teachers. When I taught all subjects, it was taught through my writing program, and all students had their folders, all students participated, and it was wonderful to do that. When it's in social studies, I usually can convince next year, and not this year, but the year before, I am a magnet resource teacher with a math focus. So I go into the classroom and I usually convince the social studies teachers to make it a writing research in social studies. And expository writing fits right in with social studies because that is where they're reading factual text. So it's a great fit for that. When I taught math. It was voluntary. So I would meet with students during lunch, before school, after school, Zoom, whatever. Actually, it's Google Meet for Baltimore County, but however you needed to meet with the students to help them. It's a great way, again, you can teach them how to write a good introduction and give them examples. You can teach them all the steps to the research process. Their parents can help them with the grammar. That is part of the rules, that they can get help with the grammar. Obviously, you have to encourage parents not to help them with word choice. You can say, perhaps you can find a better word, as we all do when we teach word choice, but it's a great opportunity to teach the children all of these aspects, but also to teach the parents to step back a little with the writing process. This year, I had a student finish, but they finished late, so we couldn't submit it. I still celebrated them at our school because we want to celebrate anything. Being virtual for most of the year and then going hybrid. So I never had all students in place. It was always someone online. So it was just a very difficult year for the students and a little for me. But I was the math teacher this year for 5th grade. We had a need at our school, so I stepped in and did that. So it had to be done through our club and through extra time on Wednesdays, which was our asynchronous day for students. Again, it's just an amazing way to teach the research process. There are prizes, both for the students and the teacher. The first year when Abhinav won, and Abhinav still keeps in touch with me and comes back and speaks at our financial literacy night celebration, and he's investing. He paid for 2 years of his college on his own through the stock market game, learning about investing. So just an amazing success story. But when he won, it was a major assembly. We had representatives from the Senate and the House in Maryland come, citations from the governor, just accolades just over and over and over again for him. And I received a nice little chunk of money that helped me go to a conference. So the money should be earmarked, they say, for education. So I used it to go to FETSI, the Florida Education Technology Conference. So you could use it for something like that. But beyond the prizes, those children going to middle school, and Carol, as a middle school teacher, you know, students often come in without that ability to do expository writing and to do research. And there's middle school through high school, it's research. And 5th grade is such a pivotal year for that writing process. So I encourage everyone to explore it. Again, I've done it with clubs. I've done it in the classroom, lunch meetings, meetings on Google Meet. However you can make it work with your children. When I did it in the classroom, it was writing in our school is not graded. ELA is graded, and writing for ELA is graded, and writing social studies prompts is graded, but our writing workshops are not graded. But I love that we have writing workshops at our school and that we are able to do it. It is not just for elementary. They have writing prompts for elementary, middle, and high. I'm sorry, sometimes I see the chats coming up and I can try to get to them. But it's just a great way to strengthen our writers. I know when my boys went to college, one went as a accounting major and he's a CPA. He said he was shocked at how many students in college could not write in accounting, to write papers. So we really, really do our children a disservice by not focusing on that type of writing, because that is the bulk of writing that we do and that most people do. So it's an opportunity to start at a young age. And I do it with our 4th graders. So they go through the same process and they do it along with the 5th graders. So it's just great. And I can answer any questions. Yes, I've had national winners. I've had 1st, 3rd, and 4th place. We've had state winners at our school. But above and beyond that, we've had children so excited about the ability to pick something within the research topic. So again, your passion. I mean, I had one child who picked starting a sanctuary for animals in the rainforest, to protect the rainforest. They chose their passions, whether they won or not. Companies they respect. One young man ended with, he couldn't write a paragraph, could not write a paragraph, and he just embraced this whole project. And his ending was to Nike that, I really want to design shoes one day, and I hope that I can work for a company like yours because I respect, he's a student of color, and he just said, I respect how you stand up for Black Lives Matter. And they just embrace their passions and in their writing. And so SIFMA does a nice job with giving it as an open-ended opportunity. And as teachers, we always want our children excited about what they're doing. So I can answer questions if you want, or Julie or Marianne, if you feel like I missed anything, please let me know.
The only thing I would add, and thank you so much, Flo, for sharing your experiences, is that the Invest Right program is a companion program to the stock market game. So in order to participate in Invest Right, your students need to participate in the stock market game. If that's something that you have never done before, and frankly probably scares the heck out of you, Kevin's going to talk a little bit about that. We have had a tremendous impact with the stock market game in elementary schools. And personally, me coming to the council a few years ago to take on this role, I really couldn't believe that kids as young as 4th and 5th grade could really conceptualize investing, the research that's required in order to select investments, and really be successful. And I know a lot of teachers really don't have a lot of exposure in that area either. And I get emails all the time from teachers saying, I was forced to do this by my principal. I was terrified, and now I'm so excited because I learned alongside the kids. So, and Invest Right is just another way for the kids to communicate what they learned. Wouldn't you agree, Flo?
Absolutely, because again, along with the topic, they do have to give investment advice. So there's that aspect of it, which that's actually the easiest part for them because they do participate in the stock market game. They find that to be the easiest.
Great. Any questions for Flo? You please drop them in the chat and we'll respond to them. If not, Kevin, would you like to introduce us to the stock market game and how you use it with your students?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Kevin Finnegan. I am a GT resource teacher at Tridelphia Ridge Elementary School in Howard County. This was my second year that I have worked in the stock market game, and it's run in the fall. There's a year-long program, and then there's a spring program. Both years so far, I've done it in the fall. So both years, my groups have been successful in one in the state in the elementary school division. I don't know if that's a signal of my success or the small sample size that's participating in the elementary school division. So I definitely encourage others to join in and get involved. I think the first year I was in, there was several elementary schools, but last year, I think in the fall, it seemed like it was just me and one other school. So maybe it was a light year because of the COVID, but definitely get involved. Up to this point, I've used it in with my 4th graders during something called instructional seminars in Howard County. These seminars, they take place 30 minutes once a week during their recess time. So I put it out there to all the kids who wish to participate. Kids sign up. My first year, I had like 40 or so kids sign up who wanted to give up one recess a week and participate. And then last year it was a bit down during our COVID, and it was done online last year, so it wasn't quite as engaging, but still had about 20, 25 kids sign up for the program. So it doesn't take a ton of time to implement. So I definitely encourage, like, if you have 30 minutes anywhere in your day, once a week, it's doable and the resources are out there. So it makes it nice and easy. While it is probably like unique to my position to have that seminar time, I think it, as Flo mentioned, she's going to be incorporating in social studies because it definitely ties into the financial literacy element. I envision this year trying to incorporate it more into my math classes, because after 2 years, I see so many connections between the math curriculum and these real life scenarios. So I do envision trying to transition into my actual math class, even if it's just once a week for 30 minutes, like I've previously done. Being able to have those real life connections, I do see as valuable for the kids, and those connections are definitely available. In the stock market game, each team that you have, I think you have, their teams can be up to 5 students. They are given $100,000 to play with. And the $100,000 they can spend in any way they see fit, with a few rules and exceptions to that. The teams can compete against other teams in the state of Maryland. There's a whole leaderboard where you see how you are competing against the other elementary schools and other middle schools. So we always see like a few middle or high schools up on the top of the list that we're aiming for. And then we try to see if we can overtake them. Hasn't happened yet, but we're still working on that. And then the site updates daily. So it's all like live stock market, real life scenarios going on there. So however the market does that day, the next day the students can see how their portfolios have adjusted that day, whether they're up, they're down, how they've moved up on that leaderboard. The students have the login information, so they're able to access the site, and that was even more like accessible this year in the COVID situation that we were in, because the students could go in at any time. They had their laptops, they could check out how their portfolio is doing. As far as implementation, I've obviously done it 2 different ways here over the 2 years, but the structure was relatively similar for both years. We had about 12 weeks together, 30 minutes each week. I think the session is actually over 10 weeks for the fall session, but I tried to build in a little ahead of time so we can get a little foundation before we start to invest, and then also on the back end, maybe meet for a couple weeks to kind of tie up some loose ends and some takeaways. In that 30 minutes, we usually started it out with like a general lesson, whether like very introductory at first. What is the stock market? What is a company? What are the different sectors of the market? Then we got into a bit more in-depth concepts of like diversification, how to research like stocks, what's going to cause stocks to go up and down. And just all those lessons are very accessible through the Teacher Resource Center in SIFMA. And also I know the Maryland Council of Education has put on those resources on their site as well. I don't know if they're up and running yet or active, but they're there. I guess Julie can speak to that if there is an update.
Yeah, yeah. That's a great segue into what we'll be doing next, which will be showing everyone the website.
Okay.
So go ahead, Kevin. It's great. This is great information.
Then so that first, I would introduce the lesson, and then the last 10 minutes or so of our 30 minutes together, the kids would just have a chance to converse, have discussions. This year it was done through Google Docs. So the kids were having to type in, so it wasn't as engaging this year with that piece. But in the first year, kids would have discussions around what stocks they were looking at, why they thought they would be a good stock to purchase. And then they would go on to the actual site and go through that process of the purchasing of stocks. So that would be the area that they all look forward to. Student learning, as I mentioned and Flo mentioned, there's obviously connections to the social studies curriculum. We have in the 4th grade curriculum, I don't actually teach social studies, but I know there's topics like budgeting, spending, saving, investing, and all of those topics are just naturally interwoven into the stock market game. Thinking about how you're going to use your $100,000. How much do you have left? There's certain percentages you can't go over as far as in one company. So thinking about how you could budget and still purchase Google without extending past your budget would be a conversation that we've had in the past. All of these topics are addressed in the game and talk about the benefits of investing and also the risk that come along with the investments. And in math, as I've talked about, I'm definitely going to try to incorporate it in my math curriculum because I work with the GT 4th and 5th grade classes. So that covers the 5th grade curriculum, the 6th grade math curriculum, and the 7th grade math curriculum. And just across the board, like the 4 operations with decimals, talking about building equations, expressions, and inequalities. That's all just right there. You can access whether in the moment as you're teaching it, or like even as a review. I know like the year starts off with ratios, but we might not have talked about PE ratio at that point, but we can definitely, as we get to it, touch back on ratios, talk about how this is now being applied to a real world situation. Integers with negative numbers. Kids don't have a firm grasp on like what is a negative number. Now we have real world examples of, oh, remember 2 days ago when you lost $50 on Google? Here's an example of that is now a negative $50 on your balance sheet that you're going to have to add in or subtract away. So it's right there for you to work with. And then the 4 operations with integers in that connection as well. As far as advice for getting started, my first year, I kind of started heavy with like the lessons, and then got into that concept of actually getting into the game. I would recommend just letting the kids start investing right away, even if it's no research involved, poorly like thought out, like everyone wants to buy like the fast food restaurant that they enjoy. Even in that situation, then you can have conversations around that. Like, we all invest in this, but now we are very heavy in this one sector of fast food restaurants. So we need to start to diversify. What can we sell away? What can we bring back in? And having those conversations around that. And then just the resources that are there, making sure that you know where to access them, as Julie will go on to. Like, they're out there. There's concepts like curriculum maps, which will lay it out for you. There's another resource called the Math Behind the Market, which is on the SIFMA pages, where it can actually like talk about some of the math that's going on and has resources right there for you to tie to. So my advice is to get involved, even if it's something out of your comfort zone. Like, the connections are there for you to build it into your curriculum and really have like a real world experience where the kids can thrive on.
Terrific. Thank you, Kevin. If you have participated in the stock market game or used it in your class in the past, if you could, raise your hand so we can sort of see everyone. And if you have any specific comments about your experience to add on to what Kevin has shared with us, we would love to hear them. I will, in looking at the chat, I just do want to clarify that the stock market game is really designed for 4th and 5th graders. Some of you, I love it that you want to introduce it earlier. You can absolutely use some of our lessons to incorporate the concepts about the stock market game in earlier grades, and conversations about saving and investing, sort of to build a fundamental knowledge base for 4th and 5th grade where they actually can participate. The program is built on a technology-based system where students are actually doing real-time trading. So they enter their trades the same way, an adult would do it for real, and see their progress in their portfolio. And the real goal is to learn about investing and build a framework that will help them throughout their life. I mean, all of us know that we need to invest for our future. So that's really the skill that we're trying to build. But at the same time, there's also, just to make it fun, a competition both regionally and statewide and nationally for whoever can grow the largest portfolio. And Kevin, I can't remember how Kevin's students fared this year, and he doesn't give himself enough credit by saying he didn't think anybody else participated, because we actually have a large number of students in the elementary sector participate statewide each year. And in a couple of counties, it's actually part of their curriculum. So this is a program that can be offered very flexibly. It can be part of your school day, either in a course that you teach, depending on what county you're in and what your curriculum looks like. It could be something done as a club during lunch, during after school. If you have a parent who is in the sort of banking investing industry, they can partner with you and be a guest speaker, particularly now that we have, a virtual environment. It makes it a little easier to bring guests into the classroom to sort of help answer those questions you're afraid you're going to get asked. So that's another, way to use a parent volunteer to make it a little easier. But in a lot of cases, a half hour a week. I think Flo does Financial Fridays in her classroom, and she'll chime in a minute, as her way of doing the stock market game. So we'd love to hear. We're doing great on time, so I'd love to hear from anyone who participates and how they use it, anything that they want to share. Just go ahead and take yourself off mute and go ahead and talk.
I have a question for Kevin. I taught it last year in the spring for the first time, and I found for the 10 weeks, I ended up doing it for 12 weeks, 1 hour a week in the evenings, and it still didn't seem like enough time to get everything in there. So I was thinking about running it for the whole year next year, and I'm just curious why you don't run it the whole year and you only do it in the fall.
With my seminars, the way they're laid out, I'm supposed to teach, hit on a couple of different topics throughout the year. So just my timing doesn't allow for it. Now, as I move into this idea of trying to incorporate in my math class, I'm definitely going to sign up for the year-long program, just because I think that would be a much more beneficial use of their time. We definitely cram in a lot for the fourth graders in that 12-week window. So I would definitely advocate for, if you have the time, definitely go for the year-long program.
Thank you. And I'm sorry. Just one more question. In the chat box, I asked, did you teach them the short selling? Because I felt like I just touched it a little. I'm like, this might have been too hard for my fourth, fifth graders.
Yeah, I stuck with just the basics right now of buying the stocks that you feel like. Now, with recent news with the concept of short selling, I think some fourth and fifth graders might be more engaged in that topic of what is this all about. So if it came up as a concept now, I think it would be interesting to have that conversation. But I did not touch on it in my first 2 years.
I was just going to add, I've done it for the year long, and I think it does give you more time. But as Kevin shared, the students really want to research and invest. So I still did very short focused lessons prior to each session that we did, so that the kids could spend that time together collaborating and researching, collaborating and researching to invest with that. We also have the students present to their parents American Education Week. So they treat their parents as their clients, and that way they are explaining their portfolio. So there's much you can do to celebrate these kids. And I've always equated it to Field of Dreams. If you offer it, they will come, and they're very, very excited. And what Kevin said, that first investment, let them just pick it. Truly, truly. And my students almost always pick Under Armour or Nike. And that's a great comparison discussion for how you compare stocks. So it's truly, they want to dive in, they want to spend, and then you bring the research in. So Kevin, I applaud you for that. You shared that with me when we first met, and I took your advice. So I really, really thank you for that.
Terrific. With regard to the question about short selling and, cross collaboration with other content areas, in Harford County this spring, I asked on the chat if anybody was here from Harford County who could speak to it, but they incorporated a book called The Short Seller by Elisa Brandt Wiseman into their school day as well. And so their entire fifth grade was reading The Short Seller. And there's information on our website as well. And we were even able to bring the author in to do a virtual visit with the students to talk about the short seller. But that was a great way to help students understand sort of a very complicated concept like short selling, and sort of read along with the character in the book who is learning about investing as well. So lots of integration opportunities. And we don't expect that based on just this brief introduction that any of you will feel prepared, if you haven't taught it before, to teach the stock market game. So we offer very specific training for the stock market game to go over a pacing guide, affiliated lessons, worksheets, things that you can use in your classroom to make it very easy for you to introduce, particularly if you're nervous and it's your first time. And so I think we even have some sessions today. I don't know if any of you are signed up, but if you're not, they'll be recorded and they'll be on our website. The author of the short seller, her name is Elisa Brandt Wiseman. I'll try to type it in the chat. Typing and talking at the same time, I'm not as good as you all at doing that, so I'll try to make sure I get that out to you. Yeah, I was just looking to make sure I got all of your questions answered. Real quick before I go to the website and show you where some of the resources are located, there was a question about teaching taxes, and I thought that might be a great concept for Carol, if you don't mind coming back on. Some of the teachers here are interested in teaching, their younger students about taxes, and we have some resources, but how do you teach it as part of the poster contest, Carol?
Well, we have, when we talk about paychecks, we talk about obviously the different types of taxes that come out of your paycheck, but then we also talk about other taxes that they might be included in their lifespan. And so it's really just that process of introducing the taxes, being and that kind of stuff through their paychecks, and then other taxes like county taxes and what the money is used for them to have a better concept for the poster contest of what taxes is used for to be able to draw that.
Great, thank you so much. So does anybody have any questions about the student programs?
Actually, I have a quick question for Ms. Carol. So based off of what you said, more in depth, do you teach the children about the 3 different areas of taxes, like taxable accounts, tax deferred accounts, and tax advantage accounts? Or is it just based off solely what a person would possibly pay, like, through like their W-2 place of employment?
I mostly focus on the W-2 as part of my curriculum.
Okay.
But we do talk about the county taxes because obviously in Carroll County, county taxes are always a big issue. Comparing it to other counties, and we talk about the reasons why Carroll County taxes are higher than other counties.
Right.
And why they might choose a location to live differently based upon the county taxes, because I don't live in Carroll County. And so we talk about the perspective of where they could live in that aspect.
And my last question pertaining to this topic, do we, because I think it's very, very, very awesome the fact that we, that this organization actually, or this program actually teaches the kids about investing. But knowing that they actually will share that information with their parents, how do we actually teach the kids about how to, like, eliminate debt, or more the lines like stay away from debt? And that's something that we can also share that information with the kids so they can teach their parents.
I can address that. I do it, the tax part of it, I teach the children that it's a year program. So if they sold, they're going to be paying short-term gains taxes. And we briefly touch on that. But as far as the debt, I run a school store program. Our 4th graders run it, where every student in the school has a job, they pay rent, and they learn to budget and save and to defer debt. And some of them borrow from other students, and they have to pay 20% interest within 2 weeks. So they pay their principal and 20% interest. I had a young lady this year who made $20 on lending money to students. And on the last day of virtual shop, it's virtual money, of course. The last day of shopping at the school store, she had a heyday because she made more money than anyone, being that banker. So teaching them those kind of things. And I have to also be cognizant of my families. I have families who are, especially during COVID, are in debt, jobless, homeless. So you handle things based on your students' families. And we've had families come, we have an investment night. And so we have investment advisors from all different areas come in, and the parents go to their sessions while the children go to their activities. So there's ways to incorporate that. I love that you mentioned that the families are so important in our schools. And if we don't have the buy-in and the students at a young age educating and helping their parents, we won't get out of our financial literacy problem that we have in this country. So thank you.
Yes, that's not a problem. I shared a lot of these concepts with our middle schoolers here at Beachville Elementary. I'm located in Baltimore City, and just from off of my knowledge, because I share with my daughter, my oldest daughter, like, you know, a lot of financial concepts. But the biggest thing that I taught my daughter was something that I actually learned from Bill Murray, and I taught my daughter basically how taxes actually work. I was like, if you want to teach your kid how taxes work, eat 30% of their ice cream and show them this is exactly what Uncle Sam takes away from you. So she was like, I don't like this, Daddy. But I was like, yes, this is exactly how this works.
I do a thing called Cookie Monster. And it's basically, I get a bag of, you know, crackers or whatever. I usually use animal crackers, and we read the label, because as a FACS teacher, we have to read nutrition labels as well. And we take, you know, you're allowed 10 cookies per serving by how many servings are in the bag. And then we take baggies and we count out and calculate, get that math in there to calculate how much we spend on each one of our taxes. So it's similar to the same thing, but it's for the class to see. And then we think about our budget, how we're going to spend the rest of our money. So.
Great analogy. Love it so much. I put in the chat, we take 20% of our kids' Halloween candy and tell them that's taxes. And we always take the best pieces too. So no, all in Reese's peanut butter cups. So great. This is a great discussion. Does anyone else have any other questions? No? Okay, I'm going to briefly just show you, we redesigned our website over COVID. That was one of the things that we took advantage of, and we're constantly adding more and more resources for teachers. So some of you may have never seen our website before, but all of our resources are free. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization based at Towson University. So, and we are here to serve teachers. So, and part of our role is to curate resources from a variety of free sources. So we have our own lessons, as well as we pull together in one place information on economics and personal finance topics by age bracket, so that you don't have to search the entire internet trying to find things to share with your students. And I would add, if there's something we're missing that you'd like to see there, to please let us know, because we can best serve you when we communicate with you. So we want to make sure that we're giving you the things that you need. So I'm going to share my screen so that you can see, this is our homepage. And I'm going to drag it over to my other screen. I know you all are used to multiple screens as well. You all had to create an account to access this event, and so you'll need to log in each time so that you can access the educator resources. But just to give you a short idea of some things that are here, here is all the information regarding the student programs that we offer that we've talked about.
I'm sorry, Julie, but I only see blue screen.
Okay, is that true for everyone?
Yes.
Oh, thank you for letting me know. Let
It
me
was
see.
there. It was there the first time until you moved it to your other screen. It looked good.
Thank you. All right. Thank you for sharing that. So perfect. Better?
Yes.
Okay, great. So under the student programs tab, you'll see information about all of the programs we've discussed today. For elementary and middle school, again, it's the stock market game, Invest Right, and the poster contest. The personal finance challenge and the economics challenge are high school programs. I also want to highlight just very quickly that here at Towson University, we offer a field trip experience. It's a free field trip. When we're not in COVID in a pandemic, we actually invite students to come to the campus for a lesson in investing. You need to be participating in the stock market game to be eligible for that. But in the meantime, during COVID, we launched some virtual field trips as well that are starting up while the videos are starting. I think I can hear them in the background, but they're connected to Ed Puzzles. So there are great opportunities to share some of the concepts about saving and investing. One is the millionaire game, how to become a millionaire. One is about compound interest. And one is about researching stock opportunities. So those are awesome ways to share information with your students in a virtual field trip as well. Information about the in-person field trip is available here at the bottom. And again, hopefully, if our schools will allow us to do field trips again at some point in the future, we'd love to welcome you here to our finance lab for the in-person field trip. And the video here is about one school's experience to give you an idea of what the field trip consists of. Moving back up to the top, I also just wanted to highlight quickly. So if you look at the stock market game, you can see it's broken down by elementary, middle, and high school. So you can see some of the lessons that are specifically there to help you introduce the concepts. There are videos that you can share as well. And this is an area that we're continually improving. Someone asked about diversification. There's lessons and videos specifically on diversification, on ending the session, fun things to do with your kids to celebrate. That is all there as well as the Teacher Support Center, which is part of the stock market game program itself online. So there's lots of resources there. And again, we do a very in-depth training to help prepare you to teach it and give you all the sort of tools you need to feel confident about the stock market game. InvestRight is here also, as well as the poster contest. Under our educator resources section, we share specific resources, both that we've created as well as that are available from partner organizations that we've curated. We record all of our webinars, so they're here as well. And then we also, as I mentioned, do recognition and awards programs, and those recordings are here also. Under recognition and awards, I want to just give a quick promotion for the Maryland Financial Education and Capability Awards. Carol Shaper is a winner this year, but in elementary, middle, and high school, we recognize a teacher every year for their success in teaching personal finance concepts to their students, and it involves statewide recognition and a $1,000 cash prize. Actually, I think Jerry Otto is here as well, and she was the elementary winner this year. So something to keep in mind to apply, or have your principal or school system administrator recognize you for your great work in a classroom. Under resources specifically, we have them broken down by topics. So we have economics, personal finance. There's things to do at home and with families. In some counties, there's a parent academy or a parent university. We're working with some of those, so that gives parents things to do with their children. There are games and simulations that we have curated as well to help you do something sort of in a limited amount of class time. You can play a game online with your students. So there's lots of resources here. And then going back to literature, that's something that's so important in elementary. We have created lessons for the elementary level that are connected to specific books. And they're tied to standards so that you know exactly where this may fit in with your curriculum. So these are something that we have done for years and we really love, and we want to make sure that you know that these resources are here. So for instance, Beatrice's Goat, terrific story about a little girl in an African village. It talks about scarcity, income, opportunity costs, and savings. And if you click on the title, here's your lesson plan with the literature annotation, the standards, et cetera, attached to it. So it gives you all of the things that you need to use this book in your class if that's something you're looking for. So if you need a book to share, this is a great place to look for a wide variety of tools that you can use. So I just need to pull back my screen a little bit so I can actually get back to this. So, and again, these are broken down by grade band. And over the summer, we're adding more and more resources. So I would say check back every couple of weeks because it is ever changing. And if you send us ideas, we'll be happy to include those as well. We have the standards, and again, we have a couple of other, sort of tried and true things that teachers have sent us over the years, or that we have used, like, for instance, credit card debt explained with a glass of water. That sort of addresses a question that we had previously. Something to watch, and that's a video program that you can take a look at on your own. Just going up, and our events are always listed here as well. So if you want to attend a training, we can either schedule training directly with your school or your county or your school system, or we also do statewide trainings as well, like the program that you're attending today. So lots of great information here to dig into at your leisure to prepare you to share these great concepts with your students. Does anyone have any questions about the resources? Any general questions? We have about 5 minutes left.
I just want to say that I like the layout of the way you have everything laid out. We just have to get people to join and know that joining isn't going to cause them any problems.
What do you mean by problems, Jerry?
Sometimes when you're doing things, you get a lot of emails and spam in your inbox. And I just want everybody to know that if you join their website, that's not going to happen. It's just so that they know for reasons how many people are coming to their website, right?
Yeah, yep, absolutely. So we need to track, like any nonprofit, we need to track impact to show how many teachers we're reaching each year. And it also shows us if you're not using a resource, that maybe it's not a great resource, so that we can improve it and make it better.